What if the most important thing you've ever done happened a million years before you were born? Deep inside a cave in southern Africa, someone made a decision that would quietly shape every human life that followed. They made fire. Not by accident. Not from a lightning strike. They controlled it. They kept it alive. And today, scientists can prove it. But here's the part most people never think about. That first spark didn't just cook food or keep predators away. It may have rewired the human mind itself. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you can plan ahead, why you can imagine futures that don't exist yet, and why your mind works the way it does at all. Before we go any further, think about this. Could you survive a single night in the wild with no light at all? Did we master fire, or did fire master us? Why did our brains begin to grow so rapidly around this time? And how could something as small as a speck of ash become the most important clue in human history? Stay with me until the end, because the answers are buried deep underground, and they tell us something extraordinary about our ancestors, and about us. This story is about hominins, the long human family tree that eventually leads to you. For decades, archaeologists faced an almost impossible problem. How do you prove that an ancient fire was intentional? How do you tell the difference between a deliberate campfire and a wildfire sparked by lightning? Burned earth alone isn't enough. Wildfires leave messy, ambiguous traces that could mean almost anything. To prove control, you need something far more specific. You need a fire found so deep inside a cave that no wildfire could ever reach it. And you need to show that it was made and used by human hands. For years, nothing quite met that standard. Until researchers began digging beneath meters of sediment in a massive cavern known as Wonderwerk Cave. What they found there didn't just adjust our understanding of human history. It shattered it. The evidence pointed to fire that was not 200,000 years old. Not 500,000. 1 million years old. Let that sink in. The oldest known controlled fire on Earth was burning 1 million years ago, long before our own species existed, likely tended by Homo erectus, an ancestor still learning what it meant to be human. Naturally, scientists were skeptical. They had to be absolutely sure. And this is where the evidence becomes almost forensic. The fire remains were found more than 30 meters inside the cave, far beyond where a wildfire could ever wander. Under microscopic analysis, researchers identified ash from specific plants, likely grasses and leaves gathered intentionally as fuel. They also found tiny bone fragments that had been heated to around 500 degrees Celsius. That temperature matters. It's too low for a raging forest fire. Too high to be a natural accident. It's exactly right for a small, carefully maintained campfire. Every other explanation was ruled out. Lightning. Natural combustion. Even bat guano, which can sometimes ignite on its own. None of it fit. This fire had been made right there, and kept alive deliberately. The technique used to uncover this is called micromorphology. The simplest way to understand it is this: it's CSI for dirt. Researchers remove solid blocks of cave sediment, harden them with resin, and slice them so thin they become transparent. Under a microscope, every grain tells a story. You can see exactly where ash settled, exactly where bone burned, exactly where it happened. 1 million years later, frozen in time. But discovering the fire is only half the story. Because right beside it, archaeologists found something else. Stone tools. Not crude ones. Not random flakes struck by chance. These were Acheulean hand axes. Carefully shaped. Balanced. Symmetrical. They weren't accidents. To make one of these tools, you have to choose the right stone. You have to imagine the final shape hidden inside it. And then you have to execute a precise sequence of strikes, in the correct order, to reveal it. That requires forethought. It requires the ability to hold a mental blueprint in your mind while working. To plan steps ahead. To learn from others and teach the next generation. Archaeologists call this process a chaîne opératoire, a chain of operations. And the remarkable thing is that these hand axes look similar across vast distances. Which means this knowledge wasn't rediscovered again and again. It was passed down. This was culture. Now pause for a moment. Because when you put these two discoveries together, controlled fire and complex toolmaking, something extraordinary emerges. They didn't just exist side by side. They reinforced each other. Better tools made it easier to gather fuel, process food, and manage fire. Fire made food easier to digest, unlocking huge amounts of energy for a growing brain. That bigger brain could then create better tools. It was a feedback loop. But fire changed more than diet. The campfire became the first living room, a place where darkness was pushed back, where predators stayed away, where people gathered, talked, bonded. Fire gave time, extra hours at the end of the day to interact, to teach, to remember. And it may have done something even more profound. Fire is the first technology that demands constant care. A tool can be made and set aside. Fire cannot. If no one gathers wood, it dies. If no one tends it, it disappears. Keeping fire alive requires planning, cooperation, a shared understanding of tomorrow. If we don't do this now, something bad will happen later. That kind of thinking, projecting yourself into the future, is the foundation of human consciousness. The same mind that planned to keep a fire burning through the night could plan a hunt, a migration, a future. Once that door opened, it never closed. Every technology that followed, from stone blades to satellites, traces back to that moment when someone refused to let the fire go out. So when we look at that ancient ash inside Wonderwerk Cave, we're not just looking at dirt. We're looking at the first flicker of what it means to be human. A quiet moment, deep in the dark, where fire and ingenuity met, and began a chain reaction that led, eventually, to us. The next time you light a candle, turn on a stove, or sit beside a flame, remember this. You're not just using fire. You're participating in a tradition that has been passed down for 1,000,000 years. A skill that shaped your mind before you ever existed. If you want to keep exploring where that journey leads, from fire to art to symbols to the modern mind, stay with this channel. And before you go, think about this. If you could travel back in time and show a Homo erectus one modern tool, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. I read every one. Because the story of Homo isn't finished. We're still inside it.